I once hired someone who looked perfect. Top MBA, 10 years at a great company, crushed it in every interview. But within just 6 months, my entire team wanted to quit. And it's not just me. In 2020, Nike hired John Donahoe, tech veteran, eBay CEO, ServiceNow leader, and within less than 2 years, strained partnerships, declining sales, brand damage, and a $6 billion drop in market value. So what really happened? Hi, I'm Konstantin. I've built 3 companies and interviewed over 12,000 candidates in the process. And today, I want to talk with you about executive failure. Did you know that nearly half of all executives don't last in their job past 18 months? In fact, McKinsey puts executive failure rates at between 40 and 50% depending on industry. Now, let that sink in for a moment. Let's be clear, these are not bad people. Just look at John Donahoe. He was a successful executive at eBay and ServiceNow. But if these hires don't fail because they're not talented, John Donahoe was extremely talented, what's going on? Well, they fail because of one thing: clarity deficit. Now, what's that, you might ask? Well, it simply means that when you hire someone, they're not clear on what you need, how you're going to measure it, or what success actually looks like. Now, how is that possible? Well, it's because we interview them for skills, tasks, and responsibilities, not for outcomes. And what's more, most companies treat hiring and onboarding as separate processes, but they're not. So in the next few minutes, I'll show you the 90-day system that fixes this, where hiring and onboarding become a seamless process. So, ready, set, let's go. A bad executive hire isn't just expensive, it's actually devastating. Replacing an executive costs 2.5 times their annual salary, according to BCG. But the real cost? Well, GH Smart puts it at 15 times annual salary, and McKinsey says 20 times. That's time, productivity, knowledge, opportunity, and real hard cash. But if that wasn't bad enough, here's what really keeps me up at night as a manager. You see, 80% of employee turnover is caused by bad hiring decisions. Your best people don't leave because they're underpaid or the snacks in the kitchen aren't good enough. They leave because they're tired of carrying dead weight. So when you get an executive hire wrong, you're actually risking your entire team. So let's go back to clarity deficit and what it actually looks like in practice. You see, clarity deficit shows up in 3 ways. First of all, by being unclear on what you need. Think about Nike. Did Donahoe know he was supposed to balance digital transformation with retail partnerships? Did Nike's board explicitly define that to him? Or did everyone assume digital transformation meant the same thing? Here's what I see constantly in companies. Companies write a job description. They list skills, they add strategic thinker and strong leader, but they actually never answer a key question. What does this person need to deliver in the first 6 to 18 months? Not what they'll do, but what outcomes they'll produce. What impact are they meant to have on your business? Without clarity on that, you can't hire for it. Next, being unclear on how to measure it. You see, you bring in a candidate, impressive resume, confident storyteller, just like I did back then. And then in the first interview, strong executive presence. Second, very strategic, good culture fit. And third, seemed experienced. You see what's missing here? Evidence they can actually deliver in your context. Donahoe had digital transformation experience, no question about that. eBay, ServiceNow, no question he couldn't deliver, but also no evidence he could do it in a physical retail business. And that's not interviewing, that's hiring based on assumptions. And then third, being unclear on how to set people up for success. And here's where most companies completely fall apart. They treat hiring and onboarding as separate. Hiring, sell the candidate on the job. And onboarding, well, help them figure it out on day 1 once they start. And here's what this often looks like in practice. Week 1, here's your laptop and phone. Week 2, here are some meetings, go get to know these people. Week 3 through 12, good luck. You see, that's not a system, that's hope. Okay, let's take a pause here for a moment. Quick self-assessment. Can you write down right now the 3 outcomes your next executive hire needs to deliver in 6 months' time. If you can't, you're already at risk. Now, let me show you how to fix this. First of all, recognize that hiring and onboarding are not separate. They're one continuous process, and it starts the moment you define the role and continues through their first 90 days on the job. So let me show you how that works. Phase 1, get brutally clear on what defines success. Before you post a job ad, before you speak to any candidates, build a hiring blueprint. 1 page, 3 sections. Mission. What is the purpose of this role? What is its mission? Not the tasks, its core purpose. Next, outcomes. What must this person deliver in the first 3, 6, 12, 18 months? And then competencies. What behaviors must they bring into the organization in order to be able to deliver those outcomes, in order to be delivering on the purpose of this job within the context of your business? So let's have a look at, for example, a VP of sales. For a VP of sales, a mission statement could be to scale revenue from 5 million to 15 million in 18 months. And the outcomes supporting this could be to hire 10 account executives, close 3 enterprise deals, and build a 90% accurate forecasting platform. Competencies could be pipeline discipline, coaching, ownership, enterprise navigation. And if that is how you define jobs with a hiring blueprint, everyone knows what success looks like. You, the hiring team, talent acquisition, HR, and the candidate. Now, I built Cloretta to automate this process. It helps you define the mission, it generates the outcomes, it maps competencies, and it creates interview questions and organizes the evidence for you. Clients have cut mishires by over 50% using this tool. You can try it free using the link in the show notes. Next, let's look at phase 2. Collect evidence, not stories. You see, for each competency, for each outcome that you're assessing, you need to design 2 to 3 structured interview questions. Examples could be, walk me through your most complex enterprise deal. And then follow up with questions like, what made it complex? What did you do when it stalled? What was the result in the end? And then you score against the clear criterion of 4 points. You actually want a 4-point scale rather than a 5-point scale for the simple reason that you don't want that awkward 3 in the middle. You don't want maybes. You want clarity. And if you score it on that type of criteria, there's no more I like them. It's just evidence. It's just facts. And if you want the complete frameworks that I use in my interviews, I wrote the interviewer's playbook. It's 100 plus battle-tested questions and follow-ups from over 12,000 interviews. I'm going to link it in the description below. And then we move on to phase 3, onboard before they accept. Here's the critical shift. Don't wait until day 1 to start onboarding. Start during the hiring process. By the time a candidate gets your offer, they should already know what they're getting into. They should know the exact mission and outcomes from phase 1. They should know how they're going to be measured from phase 2 and what their first 90 days will look like from the final interviews where you walk them through this, where you walk them through week 1, their role clarity session with key stakeholders, week 3 to 6, their first 2 to 3 quick wins to build momentum, and week 7 through 12, their team integration plan, who they need to know, how to navigate the organization. And some candidates will hear this and self-select out. And that's a good thing. You want someone excited about the specific challenges, not just the job title and the cash. That way, the person who accepts your offer, they're already halfway onboarded. They know what they're getting into. They know what is expected of them, and they've committed to the outcomes that you are hiring for. When they start on day 1, there's no confusion, no hoping they'll need to figure it out. They hit the ground running. Executive hires fail because of clarity deficit. So don't let your hires fall victim to this. Treat hiring and onboarding as one process, and you'll avoid 80% of the mistakes that lead to those 50% failure rates. Now, if you want to build stronger teams and avoid the biggest leadership mistake, one that 95% of managers don't even realize they're making, check out my next video, linked here. See you there.